What's up and welcome back. So I know my girls got their tax refunds in, and guys as well, so you're feeling a little less stressed, a little less tight, because let's be honest, things are very expensive, and it's kind of like the adult version of field day whenever the deposit hits your account. And I know for a fact single-handedly that my tax refunds over the years have helped to get me to my first debt freedom and just helped me to pay up bills, which of course made it a lot easier for me throughout the year whenever I was low income. And I don't get tax refunds now, but I am going to be sharing in this video, if I were to still get tax refunds, what I would do with them and what I have done with them and what I recommend doing with them, just in case you have some money set aside and you're really not sure which route you want to take, but you know you want to feel more financially stable this year. First thing I recommend doing, and this is what I did before I even started my official debt-free journey, or the first or second one, was to pay up a bill. Pay up a bill that has been stressing you, or you've been cutting it close when it comes to this expense. And for me, this was my auto loan. My auto loan was one of the biggest expenses in my budget around this time, and I just always felt like the majority of my pay was going to my auto loan because it was for a while. One paycheck, I got paid bi-weekly. Basically, one full paycheck went to my auto loan. So whenever I got my tax refund, I just decided, hey, let me pay this up for a few months. And I'm telling you, oh my gosh, the relief when it came to the amount of stress that this helped me with, and it helped me get into the habit of, you know, making sure that I'm making extra payments so I could get this car loan paid off faster. So look through your budget, and if you don't have a budget, I'm sure you know, because you feel the stress, which specific expense is really stressing you out, and then pay that up for X amount of time, whether that's 2 months, 6 months. Obviously, it's all going to depend on how much of your tax refund that you're able to spend, and then you'll set that aside in the account that is used to pay for that expense. And if you really don't want to see the bulk of that money go, then you can always divide up that expense and set aside half of that expense. That way, using your 9 to 5 or whatever regular income that you have coming in, you will only have to pay for half of it versus the full amount. So for an example, if your auto loan is $400 a month and you don't want to put that $400 up, you know, in bulk, if you were to pay up 3 months, you don't want to see that $1,200 go. So you would rather cut it in half, and this can go a longer way, obviously, if you are cutting the expense in half, because you won't need as much money. But let's say you just decide to pay it up for the next 3 months, and so that would be half of $400, so 2 for $600 you would put back in the account versus $1,200 if you were to be paying it up in full. And that way, whenever you get your paychecks in, you know you just have to take out $200 from your regular pay, and then you can pay it up that way. And obviously, this would help you to free up extra money in your budget every single month. In this case, it would be an extra $200 that's freed up because you didn't have to make the total payment. Your tax refund helped with that. So then that gives you the opportunity to apply this additional $200 to things that you may not have been able to catch up on before. The next thing I recommend doing is to set up funds for you and your kids. This helped me whenever it came to certain expenses that I didn't really plan for every single month, like clothes. So whenever it was time for the kids to get new clothes, then I would have money that I already set aside in that fund, and a portion of that fund did come from my tax refunds. And so one fund that you may set up is, once again, clothing fund. It seems like the kids are always growing, or we know we have clothes, but sometimes when the new season rolls around, it literally feels like, you know, our clothes just got up and walked out the closet or walked out of wherever they were in storage, and so we're needing to buy more clothes. Weight fluctuates, all of these things, and so it does seem to be an inconvenience whenever you discover that you're needing to purchase new clothes. And so this is a time to be proactive. What is it that always catches you off guard, and make a fund for that thing? And that was me. I was sinking fund crazy. I was the sinking fund queen. I was setting up a sinking fund for every little thing that caught me off guard, because I'm like, you're not gonna get me again. That went for clothes, it went for after school lunch and things like that. And another fund that I recommend setting up is car maintenance and repairs. So once again, like your kids growing, these things seem to come out of the woodworks, or at least repairs do. And this means that you will have money set aside in your account should something happen, because we all know we need transportation. Some other funds you can set up just to maybe get your thought juices going is to set up a fund for summer camp. So if your kids are going to summer camp, or if you were kind of short on funds when it came to summer camps and you really want to send your kids to summer camp, set up a sinking fund for summer camp, set up a sinking fund for, you know, vacation. It doesn't have to be an absolute essential when it comes to this, because it is your money once again, and you are able to spend this money however you see fit, despite what anyone says to you or anyone on the internet suggests. You can set up a fund for taxes, like property taxes. I just paid property taxes and I dang near cried because I was not proactive, and I really didn't know how much I was going to need. But that is not an excuse. I really should have been setting money aside for that. And so that is something that I recommend getting an early start on. You can set up a sinking fund for coffee, something as simple as coffee. I remember when I was dead, you know, smack in the middle of my debt-free journey, I was really a go hard single person who was extremely judgy when it came to people spending money on things that was just, it was not an absolute essential. They were not on a bare bones budget. I thought that they were wasteful, and I specifically thought that this person was wasteful because they used a big portion of their tax refund to set up a coffee fund, because they love coffee. That was their happiness and that was their joy. And I was like, that is the dumbest thing ever. But me now, I'm like, girl, that was the smartest thing ever, because you basically set yourself up. They set themselves up for an entire year. They calculated how much money they spent over the course of a year, and they set that back in a coffee fund. And some people may still think that this is wasteful. It doesn't matter, because, you know, it's not my money. But I think that it's smart, because that basically covers you for the entire year. That way, when you go and get your coffee or whatever it is that you're setting yourself up for, you don't have to feel guilty, because you were proactive and it's already paid. Now, if you are like, okay, that's great, but where do I set these funds up? I recommend setting these funds up in a savings account. I use Ally. I know there are other savings accounts out there that allow you to divide up your savings balance into separate goals. That way, if you have like a $2,000 balance, you can physically see that $200 is going to the car fund, $400 is going to a clothing fund, $500 is going to childcare expenses and things like that. But if you are going to use a savings account, please be mindful how often you're going to be transferring out money or using these funds, because savings accounts do come with limitations. So you can only withdraw funds a certain amount of time before being penalized. Or if you want to use a checking account, just make sure to keep track of how much you have in every single fund. That way you know what goes where, or what part of the balance goes to what. Next thing I recommend doing is going ahead and getting that smallest debt balance knocked out of the way. A lot of you may have heard of the Snowball method, and that is when you attack your smallest debt balance, and then once that is paid off, you attack the next smallest debt balance, and you keep going until you get these debts knocked out. Now, I recommend doing this with your tax refund, because it's going to take up the least amount of money, and depending on how much your tax refund is, you may or may not be able to do this. If it's only $200 and your smallest debt balance is over $200, obviously that's not going to work. But if you have enough to cover that smallest debt balance, go ahead and get it knocked out. Go ahead and get it out the way, because you're going to try to convince yourself to use the money on something else, or to convince yourself to use only a small portion of it. Go ahead, get it knocked out, and it's going to motivate you to continue going forward once you see that $0 balance. And obviously that's less weight that you have to carry throughout the year. Next tip is to go ahead and start funding those investments. So the investments that you were talking about last year, you want to open up a Roth IRA or something like that. Go ahead and get that started. You don't have to put a whole chunk of money towards these accounts, just something to go ahead and get it open, get it started so that you can start contributing to these accounts throughout the entire year, with the first one being what I just mentioned, a Roth IRA. This could be in supplement to your 401k, and you have, I think the max they increase it to $6,500 a year. So you have up to $6,500 that you can put back into this account. And I have mine through Vanguard, and I also have some investments through Fidelity. So I recommend using one of the two if you really don't know where to start, because they are very user friendly in my opinion, and you don't have to be some genius to get started when it comes with investments. I am very basic when it comes to my investments. I'm not gonna lie, with my Roth IRA, I have invested in ETFs, which are exchange traded funds. Basically, this is just like a basket of securities like stocks and bonds. Instead of you investing in single stocks, which would be like specifically Apple or Starbucks, you're investing in multiple companies at once, and that just helps you to keep from going under if a certain company goes under, because obviously if it's just Apple and Apple goes under, there goes your investments and earnings. But if one company goes under, you have like 200 others that are keeping you uplifted. It just basically helps you mitigate risk and keeps everything balanced. So I am going to keep it a buck with you. I went to Google and I Googled the best ETFs to invest in. Good old Google is free. The internet is free. We have a vast amount of information at our fingertips. Just go online and look through certain ETFs, and if it looks good to you and it's very popular and it performs well, look through it, see what the fees are, see what companies they are invested in. If you are comfortable with it and their performance is going up, then it may be good for you to invest in. Don't sit on it too long. Don't make it too complicated. Just get in there, and then you're going to slowly start learning what you're looking at and what you want to put your money towards. And this is also a good time to start investing for your kids, opening up accounts for them and depositing a certain amount of money into these accounts, because time is their greatest asset. The younger they are, the better, because the longer it is that money has to sit and earn. So you can open up accounts like UGMAs. These are custodial accounts. They act like irrevocable trusts, in which whenever they become legal age in whatever the state they're in, that money becomes theirs. They are the legal owners. We don't have any say-so in how they manage or access these funds. Whatever it is that they want to use that money for, they're free to go. And I have mine through Early Bird, but I believe that Vanguard has custodial accounts as well. And if you have a custodial account, definitely leave down below where you have yours at. But you can set this up. They don't have to have any earnings like they would with a custodial Roth IRA. So it's actually one of the easier accounts to open up and get started investing for them now. And this money is invested. So it's invested in assets like stocks and bonds. And piggybacking off of what I just said with the custodial Roth IRAs, if your child has earned income, then they may be eligible for a custodial Roth IRA, which works similar or basically exactly like the Roth IRA. And so they can get early access to those benefits. And you can also look into opening up maybe a 529 plan. This is a college savings account in which you are saving money for higher educational expenses. Now, I do believe you can use it for school tuition. If the child has tuition now, you can use that for it. But basically, mainly a lot of people use this for college expenses, or if they're going to an accredited trade school or things like that. And the good thing with 529s is that you're not limited to your state's plan. So if you live in Texas, but you like Missouri's plan, you can open up a plan through Missouri or wherever it is that you feel most comfortable, and that way you can start saving back if you are confident that the child is going to use this for higher educational expenses. And I do believe They did just change it to where 529s can be used for not college savings, retirement savings. I do think I just read that. I will leave it down on the screen just so I'm not taking up too much time if that is true or not, and then I will leave that article if you want to go check that out. But anyways, you know, the possibilities are limitless when it comes to your tax refund. This is a really good time to be proactive and take advantage of these funds while you have them. And it doesn't matter how small your tax refund is, girl, you can do a lot with a little. You can hit a little bit of everything if you want to. You can keep it and apply it to just one thing so that you get the maximum benefit for it. Or if you want to go in and do something for yourself, you can do that as well. I used an allocation method. I call it the 70-20-10 allocation method. Some of my OGs may remember that, where 70% goes to your main goal, 20% goes to your secondary goal, and then 10% goes to you. That way you hit a little bit of your main goal, you hit a little bit of this goal, you spent 90% of that thing on things that are going to, you know, be the benefit that keeps on giving. You use it responsibly, and then you can take that 10% and have some guilt-free shopping or whatever it is that you want to do with it, because I still believe that, you know, you're still living, you still need to take care of yourself, and remember that it is okay to do for yourself and allow yourself to do things for yourself, so that whenever you become financially stable or in a better position, you're not feeling guilty whenever you're going out and making purchases for yourself, because you don't want to get into that habit of, you know, basically being a hoarder. All right, so that is going to wrap up this quick video on things you can do with your tax refund. Leave me down below what you are doing with your tax refunds, and if you are no longer receiving them, what have you done with your tax refunds that has really helped to set you up financially for the entire year or for the future. It was the gift that kept on giving. Leave us some more suggestions, and I will catch you guys in the next one.